Good morning. So check this out. Here's some things that you need to start studying. Power of attorney, security agreement, UCC1. On a UCC1, it's a notice of intent to lien. It is not actually a lien. And you can't securitize a lien until you effectively give notice. Power of attorney. Where does it come from? Who is the grantor who made a special trust deposit at the hospital, who is listed as an informant on the birth certificate? Okay? And who do you put on notice of the fact that you are, in fact, the beneficiary of that special trust deposit for which the informant never got any value for, which manifests a trust? The thing about trust law, and it's something that at first I despised, but I realize how beautiful it is now. A trust can exist without anybody being cognizant that a trust exists. Do you realize how beautiful that is? Okay? So everything is a trust. Your relationship with the school and your offspring is a trust relationship. Your relationship with the bank is a trust relationship. Your relationship with your wife and a joint bank account is a trust relationship. And it's all about how you identify things. Is it a special trust deposit that you made, or is it just a general deposit? Do you have a general bank account, or do you have a special deposit account? And it makes a huge difference. Now, special deposits in bank accounts are not commingled with the general public. They have a specific purpose, and that special deposit has to be held and returned to you specifically. So if you were to, let's say you made a special deposit to a bank, and before you made that special deposit, you Xeroxed all the bills that you were going to give them, all the Federal Reserve notes. And so you had each one of those Federal Reserve notes security identifying number. And you handed them to the bank and said, this is a special deposit. They actually have to hang on to those specific Federal Reserve notes and return them to you. All right? They cannot be commingled with the general funds. They're special. And that's you giving an assignment. All right? It's so important to comprehend this. Now, when you do a special deposit and it's not commingled with the general funds, well, then you're removing your ability to be able to do recoupments and things of that nature with it, because it needs to be in the general fund. Everything is a trust. Okay? After 1933, everything is a trust. So I want you to focus on power of attorney, security agreement, Form 56, Form 56F. Want you to, in the States, I want you to focus on the treasurer, the IRS, the commissioner for the IRS, so you understand who you're going to be writing. Now, there's some people that say, oh, well, you only have to write a few agencies. I take it to the extreme because I want the DOD and Secret Service involved. I want the IRS involved. I'm going to put the Internal Revenue Service on notice. Why? Because then there's no more plausible deniability. The Federal Reserve notes are actually military script. And if you read the Libra Code, you'll understand why they carry all the liability. But it's not the DOD that you actually get a hold of. It's the treasurer, the IRS. You got to correct your master file. And I want you to focus on the SS5 FS, which stands for foreign status. Everybody talks about the SS5, but nobody's talking about the SS5 FS. Go look at that. You're going to want to address your master file, okay? And you need to change your status with the Social Security Administration, the IRS, okay, and the IMF essentially, to let them know that you're the beneficiary. You're not lost or dead at sea anymore. You know what you're doing. You're here to reclaim your securities and the interest that you have as a beneficiary in said estate that was created by your mother, and whereas she made a special deposit at a hospital and never got anything in return. People go, oh, well, Vital Records holds the original issued security. Well, maybe they do and maybe they don't. Near as I can tell, the original instrument is the application, okay? And that application may be warehoused in Washington, D.C. for all we know. But one thing I can tell you is that those accounts were managed in the county they were derived from. So it might behoove you to put the county, your birth county, on notice of who you are. Everything pertains to notice. Where do I get this information? Well, if you start to read about 1666, the burning of London, the Black Plague, the Sestakv Act, the Sestakv Trust, and you start to become cognizant of what's really going on, this will give you a good point to be standing upon. Now, I had a lawyer tell me one time, well, Derek, that's foreign law. That pertains to England. Sure does. And it also applies here, okay? We were never free from Britain. The War of 1812 was a war of northern aggression to get us back underneath the banking, so the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, could take over the banking system again, put us into debt, give us this false and fictitious monetary system so they could essentially steal from people. And that's what they're doing. They're stealing from you because of your ignorance. So Form 56, Power of Attorney, SS5FS, SS5, learn how to give assignments and learn how to identify the trust and express the trust. As soon as you start to express the trust and accept their oaths of office and give them fiduciary assignments to offset and discharge, ladies and gentlemen, they have to do it, period. They're going to test you. They're going to ask you, hey, what do you know? How did you learn that? We don't understand what you're trying to do. And if you can articulate it in a few short sentences, these people will get to work for you. Now, this didn't manifest overnight. So it's going to take them some time. It might take them 60 days, might take them 90 days, might take them 180 days. I have people that contact me that say they haven't paid an electric bill, they haven't paid a car payment or a house payment in over 3 years. Their electricity has never been turned off, their car has never been repoed, their insurance is always paid in full, and it's because they gave proper assignment through a fiduciary appointment and acknowledged the trust and expressed the trust, and now their bills are being offset as they're supposed to be, and it actually brings down the national debt. The national debt is owed to we the people, okay? And debt is not what you guys think it is. It's an asset, okay? It's about double bookkeeping entries, balancing the ledger, okay? The public and the private. They don't mix, but they cancel each other out, and they zero the balance. And then the trust residue. Here's the other thing. Some of the people that I know are having their bills offset and discharged. They're not doing their recoupment, and they're not getting their trust res back. Express the trust. Comprehend that once it's zeroed out, those securities are generating an abundance of credits on account or permissible units. Not necessarily Federal Reserve notes. Credits on account, ladies and gentlemen. These are just bookkeeping entries. And because of that, when they're being sold on the stock market, you as a non-disclosed third-party beneficiary are entitled to the rents, profits, proceeds to those securities. It's that simple, okay? So check this out. I want you to write this down. Rights, titles, interest, dividends, derivatives, debentures, hediments, general tangibles, general intangibles, chattels, security, trust residuals, assets, trust residue, rents, profits, proceeds, baggage, and effects. That is the most profound statement anybody can ever drop on you. Right there. Rights, titles, interest, dividends, derivatives, debentures, hediments, general tangibles, general intangibles, chattel security, trust residual, trust residue, assets, rents, profits, proceeds, baggage, and effects. The baggage is a liability thing. That actually belongs to the President of the United States as soon as you accept their oath of office, because all property, all real estate, property and real estate are on the legal side of things, legal beagle shit, okay? All real estate and property are the fiduciary obligation and responsibility of the President of the United States because of what happened in 1933 during the bankruptcy. when they called everybody's gold and silver in, which is the only way to truly tender a payment for a debt is gold and silver, period. That's never been repealed. Ladies and gentlemen, the organic original Constitution has never been repealed. It's never been replaced, ever. And it never will be. It's a trust indenture, okay? And what they did was they rolled everything over through a constitutor, which rolls over debt. That's the very definition of a constitutor. They take debt from one entity and they roll it over to another entity, all right? And that's what they did. And then they turn around and pretend that you're the surety. You're the trustee. You carry a fiduciary obligation to balance these books. And in some way, you actually do. It's a matter of, but your trustee duties and responsibilities are ascending of the mind and gaining control of your estate. It's that simple. Somebody earlier was saying, well, Derek, if you do this process and you don't know how to stand on it, you could be charged with a felony. No, your estate will be charged up with a felony. It's not you, the man, that gets charged with anything. They can't charge you with shit unless you actually cause harm to another man or woman or trespass against somebody else's rights. Okay? Involuntary servitude shall not be had, but it doesn't mean you can't volunteer into a slavery debt system. And that's exactly what you're doing because of your lack of knowledge. So, again, it's all about rights, titles, interest, dividends, derivatives, debentures, hediments, general tangibles, general intangibles, chattel, security, trust, residuals, trust, residue, rents, profits, proceeds, baggage, and effects. Title 18, subsection 8. All obligations are obligations of the United States. Who is in control of the United States, ladies and gentlemen? That's the office of the President of the United States, which carries full liability for all debts under Title 18, subsection 8. They carry the primary active degree of fault, okay? They're the owners. Every last one of you, and it doesn't matter what country you're in, you all have this citizen entity. In the United States, it's considered a United States citizen. And that citizen is set up for your benefit. Okay? And the public fool system has led us all to believe that we're a citizen. No, you're not a citizen. You're just a man. You're a beneficiary. You are a creation of the Heavenly Father. All right? And you have unalienable rights. But in order for this monetary system to work, they had to create you an estate. They had to create you a game piece to play in the game of life. All right? To play in their game of fiction, you had to have something that you could interact with commerce. Put it like this. Interacting with commerce is like trying to put your hand in a laser beam, all right? Unless you have the protective gear on, it's going to lop off a limb. You cannot, as a man, directly engage with commerce. You have to do it through a persona. You have to do it through an entity. And it's like having safe sex, all right? You got to use a condom. In order to mitigate your risk, you have to wear that protective sleeve. Well, that's exactly what your United States citizen is. It's that protective sleeve that gives you the ability to reach into commerce and play on the monopoly board. It's just a matter of taking control of that. And once you understand that, then you can do things with the IRS, such as 1099As, 1099Bs, 1099Cs, 1099 NIDs, 1099 OIDs, but you have to correct your master file first, all right? And it's really not that difficult. The power of attorney comes from your mother, ladies and gentlemen, because she's the one that made the special trust deposit that didn't get anything of value in return, and that manifested a trust relationship, period. I don't care what anybody else out there is saying. Because she made a special trust deposit and got nothing in value in return, that automatically creates a trust. And now it's a matter of identifying who's who in the trust. Well, mother, the informant, is actually the grantor, okay? And the son or daughter is actually the beneficiary, which only leaves one other position out there. That's trustee. Who's the trustee? That's your servants. That's the government, period. So with that said, I hope you guys are having a beautiful, blessed morning. Thanks for joining me. Again, I posted down below everything that you need to be paying attention to. Your Form 56, fiduciary assignments, power of attorney, your security agreement, what the UCC1 is, why it's significant. Let me tell you a little secret about the UCC1, by the way. I read this in one Supreme Court case. I believe it pertained to Gordon Hall. And the Supreme Court justices all agreed on this. Gordon Hall didn't actually do anything wrong, but he left something out that was very, very significant while he was creating and generating these securities, these international bills of exchange. He forgot to put given for a patent right, and on his UCC1, he did not put on there hereinafter acquired property. Hereinafter acquired property must be in the initial filing of your UCC1. And it's supported not just in the Supreme Court case, it's also supported in some lower district court cases as well. So when you start to study other people's mistakes, and a mistake is forgivable, okay? A mistake is forgivable. Just go back to honor. Hey, if I made a mistake, I apologize. My intent is to remain in honor. I did this in good faith, with good conscience, for good reason, all right? So if I made a mistake, please point it out. If you have a duty to know, okay, and an obligation to know, and an obligation to perform, then your silence can only be equated to fraud. If you're saying that I've done something wrong, then you have a duty and an obligation as a trustee to tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it. Now, after you inform me of what I've done wrong and I don't fix it, now it becomes an error. Now I'm 100% liable for my trespass. But when you, as an official, tell me I'm doing something wrong, you have a duty to tell me what I'm doing wrong and how to fix it. Period. It's that simple. We're allowed to make mistakes, okay? It's natural. The difference between men and boys is a boy will ignore it and continue on and go, yeah, whatever. Whereas a man says, okay, I made a mistake, help me understand it. Okay, if you're saying I made an error, if you're saying I made a mistake, before it becomes an error, you have a fiduciary duty to tell me where I went wrong with it, or at least guide me down the right path. Otherwise, all you're doing is assisting in it, okay? You're prolonging the inevitable. Essentially, it's like hiring a kid to do mechanic work for you, and you know he's doing it wrong, and you just tell him he's doing it wrong and walk away. Is he at fault because he continues to do it wrong, even though you told him he's doing it wrong? No, you didn't provide him any guidance. So you're the one that's still carrying the liability. But it's a trust relationship. The judge is a trustee. The president's a trustee. The Secretary of State's a trustee. They're all trustees, guys. Express the trust. Express the trust. Form 56 is a beautiful form. Form 56F is a beautiful form. Express the trust. And then forgive them for their trespass. Because you can't be forgiven unless you forgive them, and vice versa. So forgive them for their trespass. Understand that the birth certificate is a receipt showing that they owe you. Well, there's a maximum of law out there that says a small debt makes a debtor, a large debt makes an enemy. So why do you think you're all perceived as enemy belligerent combatants of the United States? Because they owe you a big fucking debt. They owe you, period. So forgive them for their trespass, forgive them their debt, and give them the assignment to balance the books, zero out the count, and provide the trust residue to you as the beneficiary, the undisclosed beneficiary. Now coming forward, the beneficiary is known. Who's the trustees with the securities responsible for bringing them forward so I can properly qualify my endorsement and settle this matter with honor? It's really simple. So anyway, love you guys. Talk to you soon. I got to go to breakfast.